I used to think I was a lazy person. Every month, I'd have a new project. I would try to learn how to code, try to start a business, start reading more books, or even start a YouTube channel, start making videos. And inevitably, I would always end up burning out. I'd dedicate myself to it for a little bit and then fizzle away. And nothing ever really led to any real progress for me. And that was really demotivating for me. Like I said, I felt like I was a lazy person. I felt like I couldn't get anything done and I didn't have what it took to be successful. But after I've gotten a little bit older, I've begun to think about it and think about what real success is, what that looks like to me, and how my successes in the past can maybe inform how I live my life now. And I stumbled across a type of thinking that has really helped me. It's helped me make more confident decisions and balance improvement without having to feel burnt out all the time. And this framework that I use to help make my decisions is centered around the idea of balance. So in this video, I'm going to introduce you to the framework and how you can implement it in your own life. Now, the way that this works is by taking a look at the aspects of your life and focusing them all around a point of balance, making sure that there are no extremes in your life. And I know it sounds simple, but it really does work. In this culture that we live in, we always tend towards the extreme, right? We see a new video game or TV show come out and we grind it until we just have no motivation to watch it anymore. Or we get a new job and we commit ourselves tooth and nail to that job until finally we just can't continue on anymore, all in the name of success and progress, right? But that's not really where happiness lies. And that's more important than success. I mean, that's why we want success, is to be happy, to have the recognition from other people, right? But if you think about a lot of different traits, there's always a sweet spot in the middle that makes more sense than either of the extremes, right? And I think the same applies to any aspect of your life. So if we look at confidence, for example, if you go too far to the extreme, you can become overconfident. You can maybe even arrogant, right? But if you're not confident at all, then you'll be called timid and you won't be able to stand up for yourself. So somewhere in the middle there lies a sweet spot of confidence where you'll get stuff done and not get walked over without making a fool of yourself. And this can apply to all sorts of traits. It can apply to attention to detail, for example. If you have too much attention to detail, you'll become a perfectionist, and that can be hard. That can make it so that you're never satisfied in life. But if you have no attention to detail, then you're sloppy, right? Jobs will be hard for you because you just can't put out good quality work. So again, somewhere in the middle there's a sweet spot. There's a balance to that trait. So I think that this makes sense on that level, but the framework more takes the approach of applying it to every aspect of your life. So whether it be in relationships, in work, in your hobbies, like your physical sports and stuff, if you take any of those too far, it'll burn you, right? But if you don't do anything at all, then none of those things will flourish, right? So trying to find that balance point is the real goal. And it's hard because all of these different activities, they give and take from each other, right? If you put more of your attention into work, then you're going to lose some of the attention that you can give to your relationships or your hobbies, right? So it's not as simple as just, oh, I'm working too hard, let's not work as hard, right? But it's all a dynamic interplay of all these things combined. So that's what makes this simple sounding framework actually kind of nuanced, right? In fact, this interconnectedness of all the different aspects of your life and how they balance each other out, while it seems complicated, is actually a good thing because they all impact each other. So it's pretty easy to see where the imbalance lies, right? So really just taking a step back, looking at different imbalances in your life and deciding, hey, maybe does that need to be cut out? And really, really thinking deep about how it's impacting the other parts of your life, taking a step back and thinking about what you want your life to look like, because balance is different for all of us, right? Some people value relationships a little bit more than their career, and that's totally fine. But still, everybody needs some sort of balance. But yeah, that interconnectedness actually makes it seem daunting, but it's actually makes it easy to work with. I think the point in my life where I really started to learn this lesson of balance, where it really got driven home, was when I was a senior in high school. I was really active on the mountain bike team, the cross country mountain bike team. I was in varsity and I took it really seriously. And so by extent, I was training hundreds of hours that year, through the summer and all through the winter. I was training really hard, and I just had that strong desire to keep on improving, keep on getting faster and faster. But eventually I kind of plateaued. I ended up not improving as much, even declining a little bit, and just feeling pretty poor on all my workouts. And fortunately, I had some coaches on my team that were able to help guide me, and they thought maybe I was working too hard, that I wasn't letting my body rest properly enough, and I was just getting too eager to jump into things, right? So I took their advice and I took a couple weeks just completely off the bike. I didn't ride at all, and I just really focused on recovering. And then I really started to feel my body bounce back and started feeling just better in general. So after those weeks, I was able to come back and I was able to train hard again and see some improvements, but not without some of the lessons I learned from the previous time, which is that I needed to stay a little bit more balanced. I couldn't focus all on the fitness and training part of it while ignoring the recovery side, because that's the other side of the coin, right? We train so that we can recover to get faster. So then I really focused on implementing more recovery strategies into my training, and it really helped me see some gains that helped me see a great season to finish off my senior season. So I think that was like the pivotal moment when I realized, like, hey, like, I'm overdoing it. Like, I need to like step back, right? But the important thing to see there is I was searching for balance in my life, but that didn't mean I had to compromise for being worse, right? In fact, it made me better. By finding balance, I was able to improve in that aspect of my life that I cared about, right? Because I think a lot of people, when they hear, oh, find a balanced life, they think of maybe being mediocre. Like, oh, then I just can't strive for career goals. I'll just settle to have a decent job my whole life, but never really be ambitious. And that's not true. I think you can totally be ambitious in any field, whether it be career wise or sport wise, right? While still being balanced. Sometimes it takes more work. Like for me to improve while still being balanced, I had to put in extra work on the recovery end, right? So again, that also comes back into all of the other aspects of your life. Do you have room to give more, right? Well, I was just in high school, so there wasn't really a lot going on for me other than training and hanging out with friends and studying for school. So I had that time to give, but there is a real question to be had there for yourself. I also think that balance is not always just seeking for the exact middle, right? I kind of mentioned how everybody kind of has different balances and different things they want in their life. So it's never going to be in the direct middle, but the goal is to avoid the extremes. But also, things change in life, right? You can't always have the same routines, the same things happening every day. Like that, life would be boring. So I almost also see balance as more of a pendulum. So there's parts of your life when it's more important to work hard, and there's parts of your life where it's important to take a step back and relax. Especially career-wise, graduating high school, starting college, and all of those like early 20s years, you can really get a good head start if you do put in a little, not a ton of work. You don't have to bust your butt, but put in some work to really get like a strong career going early, so you have the foundation laid for when you're older. And I'm also not saying, okay, grind until you retire and then have fun when you retire, because there's not a ton of balance to that either, right? But maybe working hard in the first years of life, first years of your young adulthood anyways, and then maybe taking a step back once you're kind of more established in your career. Maybe you have a family developing, you want to give more time to them. I think that's a totally healthy approach to do. But notice how if we swing too far to the right of working too hard and overcommitting ourselves, then we're going to have to swing back to the left of relaxing a little bit. And that ultimately kind of balances us out. But that never means we have to stay in the exact middle, right? So that's another thing I love about think about life this way, is it's all dynamic, and not only does it interconnect with all other aspects of your life, but it also interconnects with the past and future of your life. What do you want your future to look like? What has your past maybe led you to be too extreme in? Now that we've gone over the basics of this type of thinking and why it works, why it's so fascinating, and how it really ties in all aspects of your life, you're probably wondering, well, how do you apply it to your life? And I think the fastest way to start making changes in your life is by taking a look at your life in an eagle's eye view, looking at what's going on. So, and then really thinking about how committed you are to each of the different aspects. That could be school, career, relationships, physical health, even hobbies, right? Come up with as many things as you can come up with and think about them. Really just think about them individually. Maybe rank them from 1 to 10 on how satisfied you feel with what's going on. Are you putting enough effort in? Are you maybe putting too much effort in and you're feeling burnt out? Think about the reason of maybe why you ranked it lower. And then you need to take a step further back and think about why that part of your life may be suffering, right? Because, for example, like I've mentioned before, if you're focusing too hard on school, then maybe you're not focusing enough on your career, right? So everything is interconnected, but you have to figure out how they're connected. And the only way to do that is to really think about your life and how it's all connected. But maybe just pick out one part of one of those aspects, one of those things that could be improved on, and try to shift the balance just a little bit, right? And wait until you see improvements, maybe start feeling better, and then maybe jump into the next one, right? It's all a slow process, and if you try to do it all too fast, then you're going to inevitably burn yourself out, which is what we're all avoiding, right? You can be imbalanced in your pursuit of balance, funnily enough. So that's how I'd start applying it in your life. I know this isn't a step-by-step way to improve your life. A lot of people are looking for that, but in a sense, that's actually better, because with those step-by-step methods, if any of those steps can't be completed, it throws the whole process off, right? Whereas with a framework, a way of thinking, rather than something that tells you exactly what to do, you can apply it to much more nuanced situations, because everybody lives different lives, right? If I were to give you a step-by-step guide, the chances are it probably wouldn't even apply to you. So I hope that you were able to glean some insight from this message today, and I urge you to leave any comments with further thoughts. I appreciate you for giving your time, and I'll see you in the next video.